welcome back.
It's good to be back. How are you?
I am fantastic as always and busy as usual.
Good.
Shocker, right?
Well, then nothing's really changed. Now it's all the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about when you were working at the firm. Can you tell everyone that's listening what your position was here?
Yeah, sure. So I was at the firm maybe about 4 or 5 years ago now, and my position here was I was a co-op student. So I did a lot of work in order to get here through a school program that was provided, and then I came, of course, had my interview with you, and I served out a semester here as a co-op student, I think 2 or 3 times a week.
But you were special because you weren't just a co-op student. You were a co-op student from high school.
Yes, I was a little bit special. I don't know what I did in the interview to make you like me that much, but
So we did at the firm offer co-op students a semester here as part of their program, but I was very selective about the students and about the schools because I wanted to make sure, one, that they could be here because of the physical location, and two, I needed to make sure they had a certain level of maturity, responsibility, discipline, respect, because they're handling real files. You were handling real files here. You were helping us do real work. And that means that we need to make sure that you have the characteristics necessary in order to be working in a law firm, and you did. So let's go over what you did at the firm. Do you recall? It was a while ago.
it was a little while ago, right? But for the most part here, you're right, I was handling a lot of real cases, and it was mainly split into about 3 different categories, I would say. The first one was a lot of filing work that was done. I think at the time you were transferring onto a new digital system, and I was dealing with a lot of the filing work there. I think the second thing I was doing was a lot of preliminary drafting, right? So I remember you had me on a couple cases with, at the time, we had Andrew here. And, I was helping write just a couple
And
simple
Andrew
things.
was a junior lawyer here at the time.
Yes. So he was one of our juniors. And I was just doing little prelim documents, whether it was a memorandum or just a little draft of a legal document to be sent off. Of course, he would review everything before. But, just little things like that. And then third thing was also accompanying them to different cases, right? So, for example, at the time, you guys also had an articling student by the name of Chris. Me, him, and Andrew, we went, I believe it was to housing court at one of the tribunals, right? And we went there, and I was, kind of sitting back and watching and seeing how the whole process went down.
Oh, so it was the landlord-tenant board.
Yes.
Yeah, you did go to the tribunal, and I took you to Network Court Reporters for mediation, and I believe we had permission to have you sit in for the opening, and I showed you the court reporter's office. You got to meet the mediator, the lawyers, and they were offering for you to stay in, but I felt like maybe you shouldn't because my client, I think they're being polite, and you never know how those things would turn out, but I think that was invaluable because, I never saw a court reporter's office until I was a practicing lawyer. So you were at the firm, and you know what else you did? We had you cover reception at lunchtime.
Oh, yes, we did do that.
And remember, you had to learn how to answer the phones and transfer the calls and all that good stuff?
Well, you know what, though, even though sometimes it sounds silly, those are actually really important.
I fully agree.
Especially in the real world, these are transferable skills, soft skills, right? You'll be surprised how often you'll go into a professional workplace and people just don't know how to talk to others, whether it's in a customer service end, whether it's answering the phone, being able to direct people. It sends a very big first impression. When someone calling your law firm for the first time with some type of issue that they're having, right? If you come off cold, non-caring, chances are they don't come back, or they don't call, or they don't come in to see, Jasmine or one of the other lawyers. But if you take your time, you try to have a conversation, try to speak to them in a respectful tone, right, and try to actually help them solve their issue, there's a higher chance that business actually comes in the door, right? So these skills are very valuable. Some people just don't tend to see it when they're doing it.
Fully agree. There's little tasks that we do at the firm that some people think are just mundane and not important. Like, for example, scanning. I know scanning is a big pain. Everyone talks about it. Even I interviewed a summer student yesterday. He was in university, and he was talking about how we were transferring the files, digitizing them, and how he had to do a lot of scanning. And we were talking about as mundane as that task is, it's one of the most important tasks, because if you aren't scanning in, putting in the right place, we're kind of screwed. So there's that. And the person working at the reception desk, they're the face. They're the first people, they're the first person that people that walk in see. They are the ones that answer the phone. It's the first person people hear. So I think that sometimes people don't realize the importance of some of these tasks, and it really is a team at my firm, as I'm sure you noticed. I try really hard not to have a hierarchical, old school mentality where you've got lawyers at the top and you've got juniors at the bottom, and then there's a hierarchy among staff. And I really view it as a team, because everyone has some attribute that they're adding to the end result, the team. And yeah, we know who the lawyers are. We know who the students are. You don't have to treat people differently. Like, we all know that. But I think that that's one of the wonderful things that I've enjoyed about my firm, is that I can conduct it as a team instead of how firms traditionally are.
Well, and that might have been one of the surprises to me when I first came, because at the time I came, I was maybe, I was 16 years old at the time I came. I wasn't familiar with different types of professional settings and team structures and stuff like that. So to me, you're right, it was completely traditional mindset. You had the managing partners, the seniors, the juniors, the associates, the paralegals, right? And this was the first time kind of seeing that what I later took on into different aspects of my life, and treating everyone with a sense of unity, in a sense of teamwork, having to be not necessarily a manager, but a leader, right? They're two completely different things. I think that was really highlighted for me here, right? Because as a manager, maybe sometimes there are very little things, right? For example, the way you speak to someone, whether it's in a degrading way or not, everyone knows your position. No one needs to be reminded of that, right? And how you treat people as equals, not as underlings. Right? Things like this very much matter. And it was the first time I saw something completely different here, where you were in a position of obviously the managing partner, but you were more as a leader, if anything. You treated everyone equal. You made sure everyone knew that you were available for help if they needed, right? No matter how busy you are with your schedule, you really made sure that, everyone here is a team. There was respect for everyone. You cared for the people that you brought into the firm, because you were very selective in who you brought. So when you brought them, you really took care of them, right? And there's a huge difference that I feel, some people will eventually learn in their time, that between a manager and a leader, but I'd much rather have the latter.
Oh, that's so sweet. Kevin, you're making me miss you. Okay, so you told us some of the big surprises. What did you not enjoy about the firm?
To be honest, there wasn't much. At the end of the day, I took it as an opportunity, right? As a teenager, maybe, like the mundane tasks like scanning. Like, now you see the importance of it, right? Maybe at the time I found it a little bit boring. At the same time, I was in high school, right?
Oh, trust me, it doesn't matter what level you're in. That is just boring.
Yeah, I believe it. But in terms of dislike, there wasn't much. There wasn't anything to complain about. You're surrounded by good people, right? You were surrounded by a good job. You guys were surrounded trying to help your clients, right? What is there to complain about, right?
So do you recall what year you were here? I think it was 2018, 2019.
I think it was, yes. I believe it was 2018,
Oh,
2019.
those were the good years before the pandemic.
They were. I remember it was in my grade 11 year. Yeah, so it would be, I graduated 2020. Yeah, it would be 2018, 2019 I was here.
And you are doing what now?
So from my experience here, so even from high school, from early age, I knew that the law would be something that I would be interested in trying, right, and seeing how it would go from there. That's the whole reason I did a co-op here, just to see how it's like in the real world. So since then, I've also always had an interest in business. So I decided to do an undergraduate in business management, and right now I'm down at TMU. I'm in my fourth year, my final semester actually, and I'm studying business with a major in business law. So I made sure I always kept that connection. And throughout these last 4 years, doing a variety of different law courses, corporate, civil, tort, even smaller things like copyright and trademarks, I've seen that I enjoy it. I've enjoyed it, and I actually have gone ahead and applied to law school. So we're going to see what happens with that.
You did your LSAT?
I did my LSATs as well.
Oh,
right?
very good. You didn't even call me. What the heck? Are you going to surprise me?
Well, I'm always the type of guy, I try to keep quiet because you never know. You never know. If I didn't get in, it would be more disappointing. Or if I did bad, I keep it to myself until
Well,
eventually
now
it's
everyone's
real.
going to know.
It's okay. It's okay because we were actually talking earlier before the podcast started. I don't mind because I have also made the decision to also take a gap year before I start anything. Main reason for that is because since leaving, I had also started a job in sales, and I've been doing about 50 to 55 hours a week on that end, and on top of trying to manage a full course load down at university. So it's gone to the point where I see what, let's say grown-up life is like, or the adult life when you have responsibilities, bills, mortgages, and the amount of work that needs to be put in. And through just a couple different talks with, practicing lawyers and a couple mentors I look up to, it's very important that if you want to take a little bit of time off, travel the world, have different experiences, it's to do that before you start the next step of education. Because just very frankly, you end up in a lot of debt. And by the time you're out, you have your undergraduate debt, you have your law school debt, and then from there you have to start practicing. You have to start, hopefully living on your own at whatever point, and then you have your own set.
You have to adult.
Exactly, you have to adult. And it gets to a point where you're always on. You're just always on. I think, Jasmine, you know that better than anyone. You are always on, and it's very hard to just take a step back for 6 months to a year and, do some things you might be interested in. I haven't traveled. I want to see places like France and Italy, and, maybe go to an all-inclusive just to enjoy a little, right? So I want to take a little bit of time off. I have a lot saved up so I can just enjoy, relax, and then hopefully next year I'll get right back on the path of education. And being a lawyer it's always been there for me. Is it something I would say I would do for free as a passion? Probably not, but do I enjoy it enough that I wouldn't mind coming in every day and doing it and fighting and winning for my clients? Of course I'll do it. That aspect I love about it. Right?
The practice of law is all-encompassing. It's very stressful, but also very rewarding. If you don't love it, you're not going to do well in it, but that's like anything in life. If you pursue your passion, I really believe that you can do well. And I understand what you're saying about a gap year. I think that for some people, there's the fear that they won't go back to school because they're having too much fun. But I think you're disciplined enough that you're going to go back. If my son told me he was going to take a gap year, I might... well, I can't say what I would do because I'm going to incriminate myself. And as I mentioned, he is also at TMU. He's in his first year and he's loving it. And when he first told me he was going to TMU, I was a bit surprised because I thought different. I thought he would go somewhere different. I thought he would go away. And I think that given that he was in high school during the pandemic like you, he's a couple years younger than you, I think him being in the city, still in res in his first year, but him being close by, it's given him a sense of comfort because I think it was a rough ride for you guys, when the pandemic hit. It was rough for everyone in different ways, but high school, you kind of lost,
Yeah. So actually, fun fact, talking about high school and the pandemic, the year I was with you guys, I was in grade 11, but I had actually accrued enough credits to graduate early. Mm-hmm. I deliberately chose to not graduate early, right? Because I wanted exactly kind of what you were alluding to, that, it's your last year of high school, you want to be with your friends, you want to go to...
Have a good time.
Exactly, have a good time, graduation trip, the ceremony, all together. Yeah, that was the year of the pandemic.
Yeah, you got shafted.
So I got shafted. I could have graduated twice. I didn't graduate at all.
So did you have a grad trip?
No,
I guess not, because March, right?
Yeah, we had nothing.
Because you usually do it March break.
March break.
And yes, you did not get to do
so everyone who put their deposits down, the battle they had to get that back, right?
Where was the trip supposed to be?
Cuba.
Well, maybe you guys can do it now.
No, we
all get together and go on a trip.
Actually,
5-year reunion.
5-year reunion. I don't know if do Canadian schools have reunions? I've never heard of it here.
Who said you have to do what everyone else does? Have I taught you nothing, Kevin? Start it on your own.
I was too busy. I was also too busy in high school to really maintain any of the connections from there now. I've only kept in touch with a couple really close friends, right? Mm-hmm. We still see each other on a daily basis, but even him, he's now doing engineering, right? One of them went off to dental school, right? everyone's busy with their own lives. It
Yeah.
takes a little while to get back.
Yeah, I
right?
think once people settle down and those that come back to Toronto, and you'll reconnect in different ways, and it's nice. It's nice to
Hopefully,
have
right?
that network of people.
And going into, just like you were talking about, he started high school with the pandemic, right? Or ended. Which one did he do?
What, my son?
Yeah.
He
'Cause if I
graduated
ended,
last year.
he must have started.
Yeah, he was just starting
Yeah.
or early on.
So I was in the same boat, but for university.
Yeah.
My first year and a half, I was all online. So I lost, the whole experience of getting to know people.
Oh, so you were shafted again.
Yes, I was shafted in every possible way. I got shafted, but it's okay, right?
Seems like you've turned out okay, though.
I hope so. I think graduating with distinction is good enough. I think.
Well,
I
look,
think
when you
I'll
walked
take it.
in, I was so excited to see you, so proud of what you've accomplished. I'm excited to hear about you going to law school and sitting on, the other side of the table at some proceeding, or maybe you'll be with me again. Who knows? Who knows?
That'll
Time
be
will
fun.
tell.
Why not?
Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for updating me on what's going on.
No problem. Anytime. I'll come back anytime you need.
Thanks.